Good evening. I've just come back from another trip to Saudi Arabia with Land Rover, this time to Alula, which is an absolutely fascinating geologically, geographically and historically fascinating region in Saudi Arabia. We're over there because that's the destination that has been chosen to do the regional final of the Land Rover Defender Trophy Challenge. And you've seen some other stuff that I've done already on various trophy challenges that we've done in other places. I'll try and catch up and maybe do a catch up on all of those at some point. But as most people will know, it wasn't without its challenges. So we flew comfortably into Alula on Fly Dubai last Thursday, I think it was. Thursday morning, got into Thursday morning, and of course the balloon went up on Saturday with rockets and all sorts of stuff being fired all around the region. So of course by that time our aircraft had taken off from Alula, and Fly Dubai only do 3 flights a week. So the flight that we landed on promptly took off with other people on it and didn't come back. So we were kind of stuck. It wasn't that dreadful. We were in a very nice resort hotel and we had toys to play with and work to do. And in fact, what we ended up doing was just amounted to an extra day of work when we couldn't fly back on Monday due to the unsettlement, shall we say, in the region. And that sort of brings me on to the story of where we are now. We left Alula on the Tuesday morning, and it was a bit of a marathon, so we got back here on Thursday, I think. Drove from Alula to Yanbu to Jeddah, and then managed to get on to an Oman Air flight to Muscat. So that kind of skirted round the kind of penetration area that the Iranian drones and missiles were making it to. That kind of went round the outside of that. And then colleagues in Oman that we work with on Land Rover projects kindly offered to drive us back to Dubai, and we were picked up at the airport, driven to the Hatta border, and then driven from the Hatta border to our respective homes. Now, I would have to say that in all fairness, it wasn't the most enjoyable journey in the whole world. It was 20 hours, but it got us to where we needed to be. At no time in that 28-hour journey did I see a single rocket, a single ballistic missile, a single drone, anything that could remotely have been described as fireworks in the sky, and nothing in the way of smoke or anything else. Didn't hear anything, and we got back here, as I say, Thursday morning, got back at 9 o'clock. I had a bit of a snooze and then went shopping at lunchtime, and the traffic was still bloody dreadful, so I reckoned that there maybe wasn't that much of a fuss. However, that changed as the course of the day went on, and there were various sonic booms, which I think was most of the creation of the noise, as a result of the incredible job that the UAE Armed Forces did in knocking anything that came here out of the sky. I think it was 95 or 97%, and there were over 1,000 drones, as well as ballistic missiles and all sorts of other stuff, cruise missiles. Well over 1,000 pieces of dangerous flying things, and 97% was downed at sea. I think something like 3 or 4% of it actually got to land, and any damage that was done here, and I think in Abu Dhabi as well, has largely been as a result of debris falling from something being destroyed at whatever number of feet that they do that. It isn't as bad as the tabloids would make it out in the UK. I don't personally think that there is any reason to hop, skip and jump to somewhere else. It's not my first rodeo. Those of you who've been on this channel will know that I've also done Kuwait, and that was a completely different kettle of fish. I don't see this going on as long as that did. There are already diplomatic efforts being made. The president of Iran has already made a statement that there would be no further incursions into neighbouring airspace, provided that the neighbours did not allow the Americans or the Israelis to launch further activity from any of our land. So that's UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, the GCC generally. And I think that, the buses are still running, taxis are still running, shops are not running out, there's no price gouging, there's no particular panic buying. People are calm, people are sensible. We get terrific government warnings when they think there's something coming in, and we're advised to stay put until such times as we get a notification to say, yep, we've solved that one, that's sorted, you can now go about your business, but stay alert. And I don't honestly think that it would be possible to be in a better place than we are. And I don't get the mad panic to get out of here. This isn't like Kuwait. It's not even like Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines in 1992 or 93, whenever it was, when I was stuck there for 6 or 7 days when the airport was closed. You get on with stuff, although I haven't, and I've been very late in producing this material. But there it is, safe and sound for the moment, not worried, not concerned, overwhelmed by the outpouring from all corners of the globe. Messages, emails, WhatsApp, notes from people saying, are you all right? What's going on? And from people that I haven't been in touch with for maybe a year or 2 years. And they're reading in the paper, oh, hang on, let's phone Fraser and see if he's okay. It's really very, very heartwarming. And I'm quite touched by it, I have to say. But we're back and we wait. I have travel scheduled in the next week or 10 days. That may take place, it may not. There isn't any point in worrying about it until such times as flights become available, airspace is clear and safe, and things get back to normal. As I say, the traffic seems normal, so I'm not quite sure what all the panic has been about. Emirates have been running repatriation flights more or less throughout, whenever there's been a window at the airport. So people who've been here on holiday and need to get back to wherever they've come from, if it's been an Emirates flight, they've been getting out. Some of these aircraft have been not particularly busy. I saw an A380 coming in. I live just across the road from the airport. I saw an A380 come in the other day there, and he was very high and very late landing, so I reckon he must have been near empty. Because when they're full, you can see them. They take off very, very low. And that's a big old bus, these 380s. But they've been doing that, and then anyone from here who's been stranded elsewhere on the Emirates network has been able to get flight to get back to base. And I think, generally speaking, it's all okay. I'm just going to check the phone to see if that's a message for anything in particular. And I'll show you in a minute. Public safety alert, thank you for your cooperation. That's an old one. That was from this afternoon. As I say, there's been a couple of bangs, but nothing to write home about. And I think that these bangs have been sonic booms. You can feel them. There's a kind of double bump, and between the first bump and the second bump, you feel a change in air pressure. So I've been moving about the house today with both the front and back doors open to equalise any pressure that might be building up in the air, and keeping away from windows just in case. There hasn't been anything. And I'm really not worried. Now, whether that's just age or madness or being blasé because we've done all this before, I'm just really not overly concerned about things at all. So I will stop at this point because there's other stuff to talk about. And thank you all very much for your kind messages of comfort and concern. And we'll see you soon. Hello. I'm using a selfie stick for the first time in my life. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So if this gets a bit jumpy and I end up looking in the wrong place, you'll know why. I'm back at home. I have been travelling, as I've probably already said. I was feeling quite remiss about not having posted, but there's been a lot going on. And the first thing that I did this afternoon was to sit down and record a sort of general comment on where we are with regard to Dubai, my travels, and so on and so forth. And I had intended it to be a longer video. But having re-looked at it and maybe planning to do only the slightest of editing, I'm going to run with it for the time being because I think it's probably... Where am I supposed to be looking on this anyway? I think that I'm going to run with it anyway because it kind of gets the message over. There's lots more to talk about. I have to talk about, where I've been and how historically interesting it all is. But I think that for the moment, I'm just going to let this one go. P.S. Early doors this morning. Should have been done last night, and I'm on the selfie stick again. Sorry. But just to say that I've got up this morning, and these bad boys, the Airbuses, are coming in at 4-minute intervals, and the metro is still running. It's a bit cloudy, but it's business as usual, it seems here. Great.